Okay, thank you everyone for attending the Doubleknot Leveraging Technology Best Practices webinar. Can someone just quickly use the question field to let me know that you can hear me and my audio is clear? Okay, confirmation received. Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do today is kind of have a free-flowing webinar here. We're going to go through, and we already sent out an email and received some questions already about the application. So what we're going to do is really go through the system, a few points. We're going to keep this to around 45 minutes or less. You can use the question field in the GoToMeeting panel to ask any questions, and then the video will be posted tomorrow. So we have, again, received a number of questions. So I'm going to go through those items. And then what we're going to do is kind of talk about, well, first I'm going to talk about some new features, then we're going to go through those items. You guys, again, can use that question panel in the GoToWebinar option. And I'll go through as many of those as I can, or as many of them that are relevant to this webinar and to the attendees. And if there's a lot that I don't get to, what we'll do is we'll just answer those offline and send an email with those questions and answers to all the attendees of this meeting. So any questions you have, just use that panel to the right-hand side. So the new features that we're going to talk about are the new calendar, the new admin reservations calendar, and the new donation page that replaces fundraisers in the system. So what I am going to actually do is be working in our stage environment, which is our test environment for Doubleknot, because a lot of these features aren't yet in production. They should be there next week. We're still doing some QA on those. So we are still going through and testing some stuff out, but we do plan on releasing this stuff next week. The items, the questions that I've currently received that we're going to go through, some of these topics here, sorry about that. Replacing existing documents, creating and using categories. We're going to talk about DK links and how you can utilize that feature. We're talking about adding document links to your receipts. So you can have welcome packets, health packets, any kind of link to a PDF or a Word document and receipt. And then we're going to talk about copying attributes. And again, any other questions you have, we'll add into here. If they're kind of related, we'll just expand on these topics. So again, please use that question field for any questions. You can do that at any time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. So some of these new features, again, that we're releasing is really because some of them, it was time to update just the skin of it and some function like the calendar. The admin reservations calendar kind of went along with that. So let's take a look at both of those options and what they look like, those new calendars. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull this up. And you'll see this right here. Okay, so let's start with the events calendar. So what you see here is a events calendar. And if we go to, let me see, pull this one up actually. This one's better, has actual content in here. So you guys see this calendar here. So what this is just your standard Doubleknot calendar URL that you currently have, but it's reskinned and revamped with new features. So you'll see this is, again, our stage environment. So I have the San Jose Zoo, but this would be your organization and the sub-organization. So you still can view the calendar by organization if you want, just as you can now. An additional feature is the all categories. So now what you can do is actually view a calendar by category. So you guys build categories, in which we're going to go through today, and to organize your events. But now you can actually sort on the calendar by those categories. You'll also notice that the calendar is color-coded. It also, instead of having, for example, this winter camp session 1, this is an event goes on for a really long time, multiple weeks. So what this is it actually represents the event using one color-coded bar instead of having it on each individual day. When you build an event, you can decide which category and which color to mark it. We also have event report options that have expanded. So the event report options now, you can download by month, by week, by day, and print calendars. So if you want to download and upload to your Google Calendar, your Apple iCal calendar, whatever it may be, you can do downloads by month, week, or day. So that's all included. Let's take a look at the reservations calendar. So a lot of you guys use the facilities or reservations module, and the admin reservations calendar is really for viewing bookings and blackouts on a calendar. So what's happening during, you know, I have a camp and I want to know what's happening this week at camp. I have conference rooms that I rent out at this location. I want to see all the bookings of those conference rooms. You may have birthday parties and you want to see all the birthday parties for this upcoming month. That's what the reservation calendar is really used for. So let's take a look at what that looks like now. So here's the admin reservations calendar. And what you'll see is it will list your bookings and your blackouts. So you'll see these blackouts are in black, and it says maintenance, Boy Scout Intake Study Badge, staff meetings. That's why something's not available. Your bookings are in red here, and if you click on it, these will show up, and they'll actually give you a pop-up window of the actual booking view. So it tells you what is booked, how many people have booked it, and so forth. So this, again, functionality on this is very similar to what you're currently using, but it's a revamped look of that calendar. It's less busy because we're using these bars instead of listing each item. So it should be a lot cleaner to look at. And again, these will be available for you guys next week, and we'll let you know when those are in place. So the last thing I wanted to show you in terms of new features is the new donations items in Doubleknot. So let's take a look at those. And what I'm going to do is log into Doubleknot and our stage environment and take a look at an actual setup. So I'm going to say, and again, this is just our stage environment, so it's kind of a plain look, but that works for what we're doing. So again, I'm in this San Jose Zoo org, this dummy organization. And I'm going to go to event management. And what you're going to see is the main change you're going to see visually is this donations tab. So there's no longer fundraisers here. It's actually called donations. So your donations are listed right here. So we have a donation here called, we build called support youth programs. The point of this update with donations was really to make it so that it's a one-page donation also has a recurring option. So now all the donations, when you build them, and again, we're going to go through, this webinar is not necessarily to go through all the functionality. We're going to have documentation and other webinars dedicated to this feature. But basically what you can do now is you can enter donation amount entry. And so you can set amounts for them to donate along with enabling a custom amount. It's just a cleaner one-page, one-face donation. So let's take a look at what this looks like. I'm going to grab another browser here, and I'm going to paste in that URL. And what you'll see is this URL will show up, this donation on a one page. So that URL goes right to the donate page. I have an image here, and they can basically choose the donation amount. And then they have the option of just a one-time or a monthly donation. They enter an amount, how often, donate now, goes right to the cart where they can then make payment and commit to that recurring donation or a one-time donation. You'll see it has the basic kind of event details options like you see elsewhere in Doubleknot. So it has, share on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, all those options here, your contact information. So it's a lot cleaner, nicer kind of looking donation. Okay, so again, if you guys have any questions about this stuff, feel free to always email into support. Also, again, we're going to have more webinars, documentation dedicated to these new features. So you'll see that upcoming in the next few weeks. Okay, so let's get to some of your questions here. So as we put out, as I said earlier, as we kind of got preparing for this webinar, we did receive some emails about questions that people have. And these were kind of the main ones that we thought were relevant to discuss today. So replacing existing documents. So a lot of people use our function called the document library. And the document library allows you to upload documents to Doubleknot, and then it creates a link to that document. So from your website, you can say, click here for our parent guide. In an email from Communications Center, you can say, click, don't forget to download your parent guide, and they can click a link and just download a document. So we're going to talk about the document library and how to replace documents. We're going to talk about categories, because categories are very important, not just because of the new calendar, but for registration of events. If you want someone to register for multiple events and make it real easy to use that keep shopping option, categories are very important. We're going to talk about DK links and how that works and how you can utilize that tool, and then adding documents to receipts and copying attributes of events. So let's dive into this. So we're going to kind of bounce around here because some of these are kind of relevant to each other, like DK links and documents, but we'll go through it. And if, again, you guys have any questions or you want to see any questions included in this webinar, just use that panel to the right. Okay, so let's talk about the document library. So when I log into Doubleknot, you'll always see on the left-hand side of the feature list, if you have your permission set, you'll see document library to the left-hand side. If I click on document library, you'll see a number of documents that we have listed here. So these documents, I can say new document, and it's a very simple tool. I give it a title. I can give it a description if I want. I choose a file, and I can add that file to my document library. Once that document is added, it simply has a URL. So if I go and edit this document here, this BSA application, here's a URL to that document. So I can use this URL on my website. I can use it in event details. I can use it in a receipt that I send out. So another important feature that someone asked about was replacing documents. So a lot of times people will upload documents here and then put that document in multiple places, as I've mentioned. You can email it out, you can put it in on your website, so it could exist in multiple places. Well, if you put this document, say for example, in your resident camp receipt message. So every time someone clicks on a link in their receipt, it pulls up a document. Well, say you have a bad spelling error in that document after camp has restarted, you realize 2 months in, oh gosh, we have a spelling error in that document. Well, instead of replacing it and editing the receipt, you can actually just replace the document. So the URL stays the same, and you have to just do one quick and easy function to change the document. You don't have to go in and edit each individual receipt. It's actually very quick and easy to replace a document. So to replace it, all you're going to do is come to the right-hand side, edit the document, and use this replace document feature. So all you do is you pick a new document and replace it, and the URL is stagnant, so it never changes. So all the system knows is it goes back and retrieves whatever document is attached to this, what we call this number at the end here. So if you replace it, you don't have to change anything else. You just replace that document, and whenever that link exists or when it's clicked on, it's going to retrieve that new document. So that's an important function because a lot of people just create new versions of that document when they could just be replacing it and saving themselves a lot of time and headache. So talking about documents, where do you use these documents? And this goes back to DK links and building messages for your receipts. So if you go to Doubleknot, you go to a rich text editor in Doubleknot, that rich text editor exists in a lot of places. It exists in Communications Center, it exists in SiteBrander, and it also exists most prevalently, you see it in your event tool. So if I go to event management and say new donation or new calendar activity, you always see this detail section. This is what we call our rich text editor. So within the rich text editor, there is a DK links icon here to the left side. You guys can see that. This DK links is just quick links to all your Doubleknot content. So if you're building a receipt confirmation message, you can, or a communication center message, or a page and site brander, you can click DK links, and what it does is it brings back all of your Doubleknot content, so you can build quick and easy links to photo albums, newsletters, documents, which we just went through. You can do it to another activity or link. So it allows you to build quick and easy links to really any content that you have in Doubleknot. So how would you use this? So let's do a real application of this DK links. So before this webinar, I went and built a few different Family Day at the Park events. So I'm going to go to my Family Day at the Park, and I built this to appear, you know, on February 3rd. That's the day of the event, just a basic event. So if I edit this event, here's my details page. So let's say I want to build a link that I want to let them know if they can't attend, you know, there's another option the following month. So I can say, you know, so I can now highlight this text, or maybe I just highlight register, and I can use DK links to actually send them to the registration of my event in March. So if I highlight some text like register, I could say DK links, and I can go to the event or activity option, and now it's going to list each of my Family Day at the Park events, and I'm going to link to the one that's in March. So I'm going to click add. And then I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to say OK. And what it did is just build a link to that event. So instead of copying and pasting actual hyperlinks, I can just use DK links to link to that event, that document, that photo album, that newsletter, whatever I want to link to in Doubleknot. So if I go down now and save this, and I take this URL, my Family Day at the Park URL from February, and I'm going to grab another browser again so we can see this not logged in, and I paste that in. What you'll see in the event description is that tool I have set up. So you'll see right here it says, can attend, register for our Family Day at the Park event in March. And if they click register, it will go to the event in March. So DK links is a very easy tool, kind of, again, makes your job easier when you're building events, creating links to other content within the application. Okay, so we kind of have gone through replacing documents, DK links. Let's talk about adding document links to receipt information. So as I kind of briefly mentioned earlier, a lot of times people, when you have an event, you need to attach information to the receipt or have people be able to obtain information from their receipt in their email. We see this a lot with like camping events that are way out in the future. They want people to have like a welcome packet, a parent information packet, usually it's like a PDF of some sort of informational packet. So let's talk about adding a document links to the receipt. So you're gonna use a few of the options we've already looked at. Number one being the document library. So the first step, what you would do is actually upload a document to the library. So if I go to my document library, again, I would use my new document option, add a new document, maybe call it Summer Camp Parents Guide, for example, right here. So you could use any one of these documents. So if I go to I know this one's an actual document set up. So if I edit this BSA application document, here's my link to the document that I want to put in the receipt. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to copy this document. And we're going to talk about why I copied that in a moment. So I uploaded my document and I just copied the URL to that document. And I'm going to go to Event Management. So say what I want to do is actually add a link to one of these family day at the park events. I want them to have a welcome packet or something like that. What I'll do is actually use the rich text editor to build one of these messages. So if you go into any of these events and you edit it, you'll see a field for receipt confirmation message down towards the bottom of the event configuration. These fields are actually rich text environments, meaning you can put in HTML and it will appear on the receipt formatted in that way. We've gone back and forth on adding a actual rich text editor here. We used to have it there and people were adding all types of images and crazy HTML, so we had to remove it. But this is still a rich text environment, so you can paste in HTML into these fields. Now, for myself and most people, we're not HTML experts. We're not going to be able to just type out and build HTML into a receipt confirmation message. So we do have a little trick to build that message. And what I do is I use a rich text editor in Doubleknot. So I can use it anywhere. But for this example, I'll just say new calendar activity. And what I'm going to do is just use this details field to build my receipt confirmation message. So I could say, thanks for registering. And I could say, don't forget, and I can list some items, you know. And I could put some formatted text here. I could put bullet points. You can format this message whichever you want. You can make your text different colors. You can make your font larger. I'm going to say, don't forget a warm jacket, food, and your welcome packet. I don't know why they bring the welcome packet, but for example's sake, we'll say don't forget it. But I want to create a link to that packet. And so what I would do, again, is I would use my linking option. Now, why wouldn't I use DK links here to link? The reason being is these are relevant links. So if I click plus here, they would work on their receipt when it shows up after they make a purchase. But in order for it to work from their receipt in their email inbox, you can't have a relative URL, meaning it's not on the Doubleknot site or a Doubleknot page. So in order to create a link to a document on a receipt, you have to manually paste on the URL using the standard hyperlink option. So if I click this option here, I can come here and paste in my BSA application and pretend it's my welcome packet, and I can click OK. And so now I've built my receipt confirmation message. Thanks for registering. Don't forget a warm jacket, food, and your welcome packet. If I take this now, what I'll do is actually convert this to HTML because, again, I'm not an HTML expert. So if I click source in this upper left-hand corner, you're going to see it converts that details message to HTML. And so what I'll do is actually just copy it and then paste it into my receipt confirmation message. So if I say cancel here, and I go to my family day at the park event, and I edit it, I'm just going to go down to my receipt confirmation message and then paste in that HTML. And then on that page, it's going to display my message along with a link to my welcome packet. So again, people use this for any kind of information that they want to get across to their users. Again, health packets. Sometimes there are forms that need to have a hard signature. So you can put links to those documents on the receipt. But you can use that document library to actually build those out. So let's talk about copying attributes, because now this makes sense for after we added document links to the receipt. So we added a confirmation message to this family day at the park event. I created that message down at the bottom here, and I like this receipt confirmation message. It's great, but I need to apply this to another event or maybe another set of events. So we have a feature called copy attributes. So I'm on the one, obviously, that I just edited and added that message to. the event on 2/3. And what I'm going to do is go to copy attributes. And when I select copy attributes, what this allows me to do is say, okay, which attribute do you want to copy? Well, I want to copy my receipt confirmation message, which I just built. And I want to copy it to my family day at the park event, all the other 3 of them that I've built. And so now I can say copy, and it will copy that receipt confirmation message to all those events that I selected. So that's a way to really, again, we're trying to point things out that really save time and kind of a best practices, and copy attributes is definitely one of those. So it allows you to copy any of these attributes to any of these like events. Okay, so let's now start to get into categories. So as I said earlier, event categories are a great way to organize your event. So you guys on the back end have this category dropdown, and you in event management, and you can organize your events. I need to see my family fun, I need to see field trips, whatever it is. It's also very good for your users because your users can click on a category URL link. So categories. So where are categories located? They're located under the Utilities tab. So if I go to Utilities, in the middle left, you're going to see this whole section for event categories. So you can go to Manage Categories, and it will list all of your existing categories. You can simply add a new category by selecting Add New, clicking OK, and providing a description. You're not going to use admin only unless it's a hidden category. So if you don't want your users to see this category on the calendar, you can say no. Category image, that's for a store product, so you probably you rarely use that in this location. But you're really just going to give it a description, select admin use only, most of the time no, and save it. And then that category then appears in your category list. If I edit or modify an existing category, so if I say family fun, for example, and modify that category, you're going to see a URL. So here is the category URL for family fun. And so what these URLs will allow you to do, which we'll see in a moment, is from your website, you guys, or from Twitter, from Facebook, and an email, wherever you want to link to your event, you can link to a category of events. And so instead of saying, are you interested in our family fun, our family day at the park on 2/3, instead of linking to this individual event, which you always can do, as most of you guys know, each event has a unique URL. So you can always link to this exact one if you want. But a category allows you to link to all of them at the same time. So you guys can say, interested in our family day at the park event? Check this link out, or register here. And they'll go to a link that contains each and every one of these events. So how do I assign an event to a category now that I've built it? So when you build an event, you can assign an event to up to 3 categories. So if I edit this event and I scroll down, there are category 1, 2, 3. So at any time, I can come here when I'm building it or after I built it, and I can assign it to any one of these categories I want. An event can be in up to 3 categories. So we have a lot of clients that want them in different categories, such as, like, we have some that are based on grade level. So maybe they have category 1st grade, category 2nd grade, and they have events that are only for 1st graders, only for 2nd graders, and so they put them in those categories. So from their website, they can say, interested in an event for a 1st grader, go here. And if that event is for a 2nd grader, it also appears under the 2nd grader category URL. It's used for Scouting World if it's by rank, the Girl Scout World program level. So you can have different categories, and you got to be strategic because there is only 3 currently. But you can then organize your events in any one of those 3 categories. We also have upsell category. So you can upsell events. So if you are, I always use usually the season, but if you're building your winter events and you want to upsell your summer events or your spring events, you can build a category of spring events, or maybe you don't want to do it by season. Maybe if someone's registering for a family fun day, you want to upsell another family fun day or another set of events within your system. you can then upsell that category of events. And before they make a payment, it says, hey, you may be interested in, and it will list all the events within that category. So let's talk about, as I said, you can assign an event to a category right here in the setup page, but you also can kind of do a whole swath of events at one time. So if I go to the Utilities tab, and I'm back under event category. So if I go to assign events to categories, what I can do is select a category. So I can say family fun, and I can come here and pick and choose which events I want to add to this category. So I'm going to say, I'm going to add all my family fun day at the park events to this category. So now you'll see all those assigned. So let's look at that category. So again, if I go to manage categories and I go to family fun and I say modify, I can take this category, copy it, and I'm going to again bounce to another page where I'm not logged into Doubleknot to test it. And I'm going to paste it in. And what this will do is list each event in that category. So now you can see, instead of listing to an individual family fun day, family day at the park, it lists each of them in one URL, and they can just pick and choose which event that they want to register for using this option here. Now, a lot of people say, how can I add information to this page? So one thing you do have an option for is actually encoding the URL to add a message on this page. So if you want to, you can actually use a URL encoder and actually put a message on the event categories page. So let's take a look at that. So in the actual categories URL, you can pass in an encoded message. So there's a number of these tools out there, URL encoders. This one right here, urlencoder.org, seems to work pretty well. But let's talk about how you would do that. So if I go back to, I have this URL here for the urlencoder.org. So you can actually encode a message. So I could say, you can put whatever you want, instructions, kind of basic information. And I can say encode. And what it will do is it'll encode that message in this lower box here. So you'll see, and again, we'll put this out there. What you can do is actually add this to the end of the URL. So this and message and MSG equals, you put that encoded message, right? So you add this and your encoded message to the tail end of that URL. So let's look at that. So if I go back here and I go, here's my URL, and I say ampersand and MSG equals, and then I go back to my encoder and take this here and I copy it, you can actually encode that text at the end. See if that works. So you'll see, thanks. Please select an option below. So what we did is we just put that ampersand message equals, and then I pasted that, whatever that decoded text was, encoded text, and then that will appear right on that page. So any kind of instructions you want to provide, you can put right on that page. So if you guys have any questions about any of those things that I just went through, please let me know. I see we have some questions, so let me see what we have set here. So for copy attributes, I should have the additional event or asset already set up. Yeah, you would have it already set up, because if you copied an event from, so say I had family day at the park on 2/3, if I had all my information that was set and ready to go and I copied it for 3, 3, 4, 7, 5, 5, and so forth, all that information would be already copied over. So you wouldn't really have to use copy attributes. Copy attributes is really if you have made a change after the fact. Let's see. if we use the same categories across multiple organizations, will the category URL pull from all orgs? Yes, the category URL will pull from, the upsell, excuse me, will pull from all orgs. The category you're building will pull from that unique organization. So you can upsell across multiple. Let's see. Scheduled, so someone asked about scheduled reports. So scheduled reports are something they're developing. There's two things that are in our pipeline that are kind of related to that. I think the first thing they're working on is actually event notifications. So right now we have payment notifications in Doubleknot where you can actually send automatic payment notifications. But the next thing they're doing is automatic event notifications. So when you build your event, you'll be able to schedule emails right on that page that say event reminders, you know, hey, your event's coming up in 2 weeks. Don't forget this information. So it'll be automatic event reminder emails. I think that is higher on the list right now over the automated scheduled reports, but I know that they're definitely aware of that need, but currently the event notifications is ahead of that right now. Okay, let's see. Any other questions about I'm going through this list here. Some of these we may answer in the document. Let's see. I send out. Someone asked about, okay, so asked about assigning a form logic on one page. Okay, so a number of months ago, we released some new functionality for actually having form logic display on the same page. So we have some time to go through that. Let's quickly go through that. So in Doubleknot, you guys can build forms and assign forms in a variety of ways. But let's talk about assigning a form with logic on one page. So a lot of times we have forms, and people have big forms, people have really brief forms, but logic in forms kind of what used to appear. You ask a question on page 1, then page 2, the logic is based off that. And people didn't like the look of it because if you click, you have to click to a second page to view that item. But now we can have everything appear on one page. So let's talk about that. So I want to build a form here, just a quick little form. And I'm going to build a form. I'm going to go to new form, and I'm going to select the option that says Park Day. I'll just call it Park Day form. Now I'm going to choose the option under the basic options field here that says display in one page. So what that means is it says regardless of how many pages my form is, display it to my user in one page. Now that's important for what we're talking about here, which is building logic into a form and having it appear just one time to the user. So if I say save and I go to edit form, I can have an option here that says, I'll do a simple question, a drop-down menu, and says, you know, does this and I can say yes or no, simple yes, no. Well, if this person, I'm going to make this required, and I'm going to add the item. So if this person, if this says yes, then I want to know details about those allergies. So in order to build logic into this form, I need to build another page. So I'm going to say add page. And I'm just going to have a simple multiple line text field here that basically says, you know, tell me about the allergies. And I'll say, please explain, and I'll say required, add item. Well, I only want this to appear if they say yes, so I'll put page conditions on this item. And the conditions basically say if they answered yes to does this participant suffer from any allergies, I want this page to appear. So that's the only way I want them to see this page is if they said yes. Now, again, keep in mind, this is on 2 pages because in order to build logic, The system needs to see what's on the page in front of it. So on page 1, I have my question. And on page 2, it's, okay, tell us about those allergies. I don't want my user to have to click to the second page. I want it to automatically appear if they chose yes. And since I selected when I built the form on form properties to display on page, that's what it's going to do. So if I go now and take a look at this, so if we go and I'll pick on my event that I've been picking on all day here, is my family day at the park. If I come here and actually assign the form, if I go to my fun day, what did I call it? Family fun day? Oh gosh. Too many forms in here. Park day, there it is. I'll say assign, and I'm gonna make it required. I'm gonna say each registrant, because I wanna know about each registrant's allergies if they have any. And I'm gonna say display as registrant attributes. I'm gonna have it display right up front as a registrant attribute. So let's play with this event. I'm gonna take the event, I think I have, yeah. On this page here, I have it all set. So I'm gonna say register and select how many people I wanna register. So I'll say 1 adult and 1, and this branding's a little screwed up, so it looks a little funny. But you'll see once I select how many people I want to attend, I set that form to display as registrant attributes. So I can say this is Fred. And yes, Fred does have allergies. So as soon as I select yes, this now pops down. And again, the reason I did that is because there's 2 pages on the form, but I'm setting it to display on 1 page to my user. So now that's all set, and then I can fill that out. If I say yes here, that will pop up. So that should answer your question there. So a lot of the other questions here I'm going to address separately to some folks. If you guys have any other questions about anything we discussed, please feel free to contact support, support@doubleknot.com. Give us a call. The number is 408-971-9120. Follow the prompts for support, which is 2. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. We got one more coming in here. In Communication Center, how can we get a report that shows the email addresses of those people that do not read the email? So Gretchen, I'm going to contact you separately, and we'll talk about some of those reports that you can pull there. But again, anyone that has any other questions, don't hesitate to contact support. Give us a call. We'll post this video tomorrow in the webinars, training videos section of the website under webinars. And again, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you guys. Appreciate your attendance.